Like this video and subscribe right now to make Shake Peep happy again. Twins had a 1 in 30 million chance of survival at birth. They are now add-ons and have become teachers. A Metallica concert in Moscow that took place just a couple of months before the Soviet Union's collapse in an military airfield, 1991. 1.6 million people attended the concert and it's one of the most attended concerts in human history. A Vietnamese fisherman reeled in a Chinese torpedo in the South China Sea. It's now in the hands of the Vietnamese military, and they will likely pick it apart for any intelligence value. What you see on the map, light blue, versus the true size of each country, dark blue. Ghost sculpture in the castle of Visio, Italy. Unbelievable clouds in the Dolomites, Italy. What happens when 3 professional soccer players take on 100 kids? Camera flash made the sheep look like zombies. Grass being used as parking space lines rather than paint. This sand sculpture by artist Andoni Basterica. Cars that never left the Giants Stadium commute a lot after 9/11. The 178-year-old preserved head of Portuguese serial killer Diogo Alves, 1810 to 1841. The Xoloitzcuintli is an ancient Aztec breed native to Mexico, once considered as guides for the dead on their journey to the underworld. The comb jellyfish and bonobo ape are humans' furthest and closest relatives. A police officer ticketing a woman for wearing a bikini on a beach, which was illegal at the time in Italy, 1950s. Hurricane Larry currently has a giant eye. I track hurricanes a hobby, and in 10 years I've never seen a eye this big. Swap your boring lawn grass with red creeping thyme. Grows 3-inch tall marks, requires no mowing, lovely lemony scent, can repel mosquitoes, grows all year long, better for local biodiversity. California farmer Tony DeGuerra made plastic mold to put his pumpkins so that they grow into the face of Frankenstein's monster, known as Pumpkinsteins. Found a medieval leather shoe while mudlarking in London. A photo of children for sale, taken in August of 1948, perfectly encapsulates the experience of those still down on their luck years after the war in the US. 4 children for sale, inquire within. Found a 130-year-old recipe book while cleaning out grandma's house. I just moved to Arizona hoping to have better skies for celestial photography. I took my first pictures last night of Jupiter and Saturn, my clearest ever. Super rare bilateral gynandromorph stag beetle. The left side is male and the right side is female. Black panther spots which can only be seen using an infrared camera. Tattoo removal progress after 25 laser sessions at 5-week intervals. Testing cars on the roof of the Fiat factory in 1929. Ice cream served in a cup made out of a banana leaf. The dog is covered with holy powder, looks like he's on fire. 2,300 years old Scythian woman's boot preserved in the frozen ground of the Altai Mountains. Laniakea supercluster. The yellow structure is the Laniakea supercluster, which contains about 100,000 galaxies. The red dot in the image is the Milky Way, our home, which contains about 300 billion stars, including our sun. Climb 100% perfect, or it's lights out. Looking down at Alex Honnold free soloing the 2,900 foot, 884 meter, free rider route on El Capitan with nothing more than a chalk bag and insane physical and mental strength, completing the climb in 3 hours and 56 minutes. Classic Saturn photobomb. MRI of a mother kissing her 2-month-old son. Raw data to store as data tell. Data. sorted, arranged, presented visually, explained with a story. America Duck Year from Clean Zundert in the largest flower parade of the world. 50 years ago today, September 3rd, 1971, the first ever legally married gay couple, Michael McConnell and Jack Baker, law students at the University of Minnesota, tied the knot in Blue Earth County after Hennepin County refused to grant them a marriage license. Foot of a marble sculpture of Marcus Aurelius unearthed in southern Turkey. The Hulk Danish Arctic explorer Peter Fruken and his wife, Dagmar, in an unforgettable picture from 1947. Apparently you can buy CPUs through a vending machine in Japan. Neat. The sacred city of Caral in Peru, at almost 5,000 years old, it's the oldest city in the Americas, and predates even the Great Pyramids of Egypt. It includes 6 pyramids, the largest of which measures 150 times 160 meters, 2 sunken ceremonial plazas, residential districts and an irrigation system. This invisible bridge, the Netherlands. Sharing a cigarette during the 1920 Tour de France. Wild reindeer under northern lights. Giant oceanic manta rays can grow to over 20 feet across and weigh over 6,000 pounds. This Canadian $10 bill from 1937 that my grandfather gave me. An image from 1898 of a farmer posing in front of his house in the Black Forest, southwest Germany. Everything you see here is now provided on a tiny device that fits in your pocket. 1993. Natural History Museum, London. View of the Great Pyramids of Giza from the Garden of Mina House. In 2014, NASA emailed the specs of a wrench to astronauts on the International Space Station to be 3D printed. It was the first time hardware had been emailed to space. This drawing was made about 800 years ago by a 7-year-old boy named Domfin, who lived in Novgorod, modern Russia. A Long March 3B rocket booster that crashed in China. Elephant gives birth to twins at Pinola Elephant Orphanage. This Thailand supermarket touches plastic packaging for banana leaves. The filming of Back to the Future 3, 1989. This is a guarana plant beginning to sprout its eyeball seeds. My uncle gave me eggs, that is chicken laid. This was one of the eggs. Lady covered in dust on night 11. Earth's Schwarzschild radius. The volume Earth would have to be compressed in order to form a black hole. Walking on the ocean shoreline of Japan's Hokkaido Island in the middle of the winter. Bacon Rock Formation. A parking lot with solar panels working as roofs. Vinyl record under an electron microscope. The Sonoran Desert has received once-in-a-generation rainfall, turning the austere desert into a jungle of plants. The consequences of space debris, a collision with 15 grams piece of shot at a speed of 24,000 kilometers per hour. If you think human birth is painful, the kiwi has an egg that's almost the same size as an ostrich egg. Sculpture depicting how humans need to be in order to survive a car crash. Is that a child's handprint in my shop bought naan bread? Exotic, rare and beautiful Patagonian crater agate only found in Argentina. A snapping turtle grabs hold of a duck's foot while it was swimming on the surface of a pond, and then it drags it down to the depths. Installed in the year 1410, this giant outdoor clock in downtown Prague has been ticking for over 6 centuries and is the world's oldest astronomical clock still in operation. Apollo 15 distant view of lunar module. Painted Mona Lisa using 720 Rubik's cubes. No one has stepped foot in it for nearly 8 years. The posters are finally falling off the window. You can still see all the VHS and DVD copies on the shelves. A spider's feet up close. The 2019 total solar eclipse, a photo composite of more than 2,000 exposure frames. A Syrian soldier traversing a waterway with a breathing apparatus. Assyria, circa 700 BC. The hand of God, or an apocalyptic meteor. This Afghan rug I found at my late father's house. Lightning over the Calama volcano, Mexico. A silver ball python. Guitar string close-up seen through a microscope. Amazing. The change at the Berlin Wall, Germany. A 1,000-year-old Viking battle axe, before and after restoration. Today I learned that katydids can be pink on very rare occasions. Niagara Falls with no water 1969. One of Andy Warhol's first paintings, and his last. This Japanese poster about wearing face masks is around 100 years old. New York Tunnel Police, 1950s. Finally was able to get a picture with my dad and the guitar I carved for him. 40 years ago, Terry Fox ended his Marathon of Hope in Thunder Bay, Ontario after 3,339 miles of running across Canada. Sea turtle of legend, in the flesh. Unzi was an albino Aboriginal man who toured with the Barnum and Bailey Circus throughout Europe and the USA in the late 19th century. Patrick Doherty, an acclaimed sculptor who weaves tree saplings into whirling, animated shapes that resemble tumbleweeds. Augusts of wind to create beautiful, large-scale, temporary structures. Watch out for potted plants who will try to escape your house by growing legs as roots. There is game run mode on my treadmill, with a Skyrim and several other modes. A tobacco pipe gifted to Stalin by the American chess team in 1945, depicting Stalin playing chess with FDR. A grasshopper, Poeciloceras pictus, a species of grasshopper found in the Indian subcontinent. Wenheu, a decorated food court, in Shenzhen. Bloodstained Japanese flag captured during World War II. The Wildkirchli restaurant, nestled against a cliff face above the cloud line in the Appenzell region of Switzerland near the town of Wasserøen. This is a 24-year-old Norwegian man, picture taken in 1886. He has leprosy. I'm very grateful that this illness is mostly a thing of the past. Lithops, succulents that have evolved to look like stones. It helps them avoid being eaten by grazing animals by blending in with the stones in their natural environment. A dress made completely of grain from a harvest festival in Poland. Abu Dhabi of the UAE, in just 50 years, 1970, now. A frozen wave in Antarctica. A tiny gecko. The moment when a fighter plane, the F/A-18F Hornet, breaks the speed of sound. Clever Hans, the horse genius who could do math and answer geography questions. His abilities perplexed the scientists who studied him, until they figured out his trick. He guessed the answers by reading his handler's subtle facial expressions. The handler himself was unaware of this. A painting of the Vienna State Opera House by Adolf Hitler, 1912. Some wolves in British Columbia are known as sea wolves, and they swim several miles every day to find food. As much as 90% of their diet comes from the sea. They have a distinct DNA that sets them apart from other wolves. Cacti growing out of the roof of a house. When Dutch biking company Van Moof began shipping their bikes to the USA, a lot of them were arriving damaged. They decided to put an image of an flat screen television on the cardboard boxes. Doing so saw an 80% decrease in damages. Underwater cables map that connect us all to the internet. Mount Hood in Oregon casting a shadow on the clouds. The tree, a gold hoard containing more than 2,650 Ori gold coins, hidden in 196 AD during the revolt of Clodius Albinus against Emperor Septimius Severus. Map with all active separatists movements in Europe. The insanely complex cockpit of the Concorde. Underwater waterfall, Mauritius Island. Dragon's Eye, Utterkive Beach, Norway. Cakesa Forum Cultural Zone in Madrid, Spain. Dwayne Johnson, who is a pretty big guy, with Chinese basketball player Sun Mingming. This bridge into a tunnel in Hawaii. A piece of the Berlin Wall that was donated to the city of Seattle for Boeing's part in the Berlin airlift. The world's tallest and smallest man. This is the skeleton flower, Diffilelia grayi, a white woodland blossom whose petals turn crystal clear when it rains and revert to white when dry. It is native to the eastern United States and eastern nation. The 3,300-year-old mummy found in Egypt, curly hair that suits the fashion of that time. Leaf sheep, a sea slug and the only animal that can photosynthesize. Horatio Gordon Grobley with his Makomo Kai collection. Makomo Kai, or Toimoko, are the preserved heads of Maori with tattooed faces. During the Musket Wars, they were traded with Western colonizers in exchange for firearms. After he returned to England, he built up a notable collection of 35 to 40. This is a real spacesuit, very 40s Art Deco. This railing on gazebo in Naples has braille describing the view for blind people. More of this please. And Connecticut just created its new tourist attraction from Eda Remnants, a mini Grand Canyon in Cromwell. MX 3D Bridge in Amsterdam, the world's first 3D printed stainless steel bridge. Half buildings in Paris. Dunes, the immersive mural outside the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts, an impressive optical illusion. This is how a scorpionfly looks. Despite its frightening appearance, a scorpionfly does not bite or sting humans. In 1982, Seiko released the TV Watch, which allowed owners to view live broadcast TV on a tiny blue/gray LCD screen embedded into the watch face. Most of the watch's TV tuning electronics were housed in an external box that hooked to the top of the watch. In the early 1900s, getting drunk and riding a pig was considered one of the most extreme sports known to man. The sheer size of an Airbus A380 is tell. Different between orange suit and white suit. Did you ever wonder why astronauts sometimes wear orange suits and sometimes white? The orange-colored Advanced Crew Escape Suit, ACES, is the Space Shuttle Ascent and Entry Suit. This particular color is highly visible against any kind of landscape, especially in the sea. The white-colored ones are the bulkier extravehicular activity, EVA, suits. That is because white reflects the strong heat of the sun and is easily visible against the black expanse of space. A nice quiet vacation. Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and Annie Lloyd filming The Shining in 1980. A 4,500-year-old dress was unearthed in Giza, and this is what it looks like after reconstruction. While the original strings disintegrated, the beads were left in place. In 1985, after an 8.0 magnitude earthquake hit Mexico City, nearly all newborn babies survived a collapsed hospital. They are known as miracle babies for surviving 7 days without nourishment, water, warmth or human contact. Abandoned mansion in France. Reflection of the morning sun. This is what an electric fire truck looks like. They are still in the process of being designed and tested, but will hopefully be reaching more stations soon. Just found out that a genetic mutation causes frog eyes to grow inside their mouth, and I can't stop thinking about it. Eddie Van Halen and David Lee Roth outside McDonald's, 1978. The metal floor of this 25-year-old playground equipment has worn down after all those years of use by kids playing on it. Pan Am Airlines used to hand out free cigarettes on flights. A yellowhead jawfish mouth breeding its eggs. Bioluminescent fungi. You've seen a hammerhead shark before, but have you seen a winghead shark? The megalomotorcycle from 1920s. 5-cylinder rotary engine inside the front wheel. Top speed around 60 miles per hour / 100 km per hour. Waterhole in Portugal. Looks like a portal to another dimension. Corso in Zundert, the Netherlands. Everything is made of flowers. Whittier, Alaska, where the entire Alaskan town lives in this very same building. Wow. This is Oleg Penkovsky, a Soviet intelligence colonel during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He and British businessman Greville Went smuggled out photos which forced the Soviets to back down. He gave his life to avert a nuclear war. The triumph of Shapur I, Persia, over the Roman emperors Valerian and Philip the Grabnacushi Rostam Iran.